Jeremy was by. Now he's on his back door. Henry, who still hasn't been able to do anything with Albertine, he's starting to pull away a little.
McGrath is now putting the pressure on number 20, Doug Henry.
I'm sure that would mean a lot to Jeremy's confidence to get out there and beat the guys leading this series. The way it stands right now, Jeremy's a full lap down. When you look at the point standings, he's 25 points down on Henry. He needs to beat him tonight. He needs to beat him next week.
Henry closed the door on the corner, David Bailey.
Well, he's got some yellow on his bike now. Jeremy went in there and rubbed fenders with him. Jeremy, like Davey's saying, it's a big mental advantage if Jeremy can make a pass on Henry and send him back to the pits with that thought.
Well, one accommodation for Roger DeCoster's team is only Suzuki has hit all podiums this year. Let's see when we get back who will go to the main event out of this qualifying heat.
Out of the shadows come three incredible motorcycles.
Heat number 2 from the Georgia Dome.
Right off the finish line jump, Jeremy again letting Henry know he's there. Anytime he can stick a wheel and he's doing it. He wants Henry to know he means business. He's back, and Henry's not going to have it his way tonight.
Jeremy has never finished out of the top 4 here in the Georgia Dome, and that 4th place, of course, came after the very famous helmet cam crash when he came off the jump, and the whole world saw him run into Michael Craig.
Speaking of Michael Craig, he's right behind these two, still in this battle.
Here comes Jeremy McGrath, making a big psychological pass right now on Doug Henry. Could this have ramifications, David Bailey? You know, you've raced out there. What about the battle in these preliminary runs?
It's all in the head right now. These guys are all so talented on the racetrack. They can do anything. They all can ride just as fast as the next guy, but if it's not in your head, you can't get it done. And right now, the advantage is McGrath's.
Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Watching McGrath earlier today in practice, especially the first session, guys, he was thrashing that bike, trying to make it break. Came back after practice, I said, how'd it do? He said, so far, so good. After second practice, I went to Wyatt Seals, his mechanic. I said, what do you think? He says, we think we got it solved. So far, it looks like they do.
Okay, Marty, because right now he's putting a little pressure on Greg Albertine, his teammate. Albertine, of course, the winner of round number 1 at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Jeremy with 3 podiums, but as yet has not won a Supercross in 1997. Doug Henry, 2-time winner coming into this race. Here comes Michael Craig trying to pressure Henry in point.
Let's not forget about the fact that Albertine has led this thing the whole way. No one's been able to really put any pressure on him. Great ride. You got the fastest rider in the country right now. Doug Henry leading the series. You got the #1 plate right behind him, and he still hasn't crashed.
Yeah, if Jeremy catches him, that's only going to add to the confidence boost because Albertine won the first round. He's already passed Henry. He's won a couple rounds himself. This is what Jeremy needs.
Hughes is making a big battle with Craig. Oh, that's a significant battle, too. That is the bubble. It's Albertine, then Jeremy McGrath, then Doug Henry, Craig, and Ryan Hughes. What got into Hughes? It looked like he was on a Sunday ride instead of Saturday night.
Well, he looked good in the opening laps. He may have gotten himself a little tight in those early battles with Jeremy, and now he's gotten his second win.
Oh, Jeremy cuts to the inside. Albertine, though, gains the edge. What a battle. We've had nothing but great racing here in qualifying rounds all year.
That's the exact same we saw in the last race. We saw the Yamaha teammates. We thought they might be a little tentative with each other, but Jeremy seems like he's charging, he's going for it, and that's his teammate in front of him.
Who can forget Henry when he was with the Honda team? And Jeremy McGrath, he won his first 250 heat, beating Jeremy McGrath. All the jaws dropped in the Honda team.
Well, they knew that Doug Henry was capable of good things. He's excellent at testing the motorcycle, and they lost a great test rider when he went over to Yamaha, and he has lost a lot of time now to the 2 leaders. They've pulled away in just a lap.
Only 1.5 laps remaining in this race now. It's Albertine, McGrath, Henry, and Craig. The 1 through 4s. The white flag gets ready to run as Albertine heads toward the little speed jumps before the finish line jump. White flag. Can Jeremy do it, or does he want to right now?
No, believe me, he wants to more than anything and anybody in this stadium. And if he wins this heat race, this crowd's going to go nuts, because when he came out earlier...
Here he comes. Look out. The triple on the way. Albertine looks over to see who it is. He's got good position, good clean movements between teammates. But now let's think through the rhythm section. We've got the whoops and another good place to pass.
Well, Albertine is protecting that line pretty good. This is Jeremy's last shot, unless it's that corner just before the finish. Albertine put on the brakes just a little extra to keep Jeremy from squaring him off in that corner before.
Well, one guy that's got a smile on his face right now, of course, is Roger DeCoster. He's 1-2 in this heat. Craig is putting pressure on Doug Henry for third. And coming around to the checkered flag, there you see Doug Henry in the blue. But right now, Albertine with a wonderful performance, not cracking under the pressure of one of the best at applying pressure, Jeremy McGrath. But it has to be encouraging for Jeremy to be able to pass Doug Henry.
Oh, surely it is. I'm sure he would have liked to have won that event, but, you know, at that point, you got second, you improved the point, you made a nice, bold statement by being able to pass the points leader. Maybe this is Jeremy's time to really get everything back together.
Albertine, after the win in Los Angeles, went from 19th to 8th at the Los Angeles Coliseum in round 2. Had a bad crash in Phoenix, taking a 10th, then an 8th in Seattle, coming back with a 5th. So he's been inconsistent, but this performance right here has got to give him more confidence. More sights and sounds of Supercross plus Marty Reed. Look at this as the two teammates peer at each other, making sure that there's nothing but clean racing, so it doesn't knock him out of the main event. Albertine, our winner. Jeremy McGrath in second. Henry and Craig also qualifying. 8 riders have now qualified for the main event. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Well, down here with a very happy Greg Albertine. You walked up to me and said, hey, it's been a while since I've been up here.
Yeah, it sure has been a while. I've been having a little bit of bad luck and a little bit of bad riding. But I feel really good tonight. Jeremy was going really well, and those RM250s out there are really performing. So I think we're going to be on the podium this evening.
It looked like, of course, there were no team orders there. It looked like Jeremy, if he could have taken you, he would have, but you held him off.
Well, he sure was trying, you know, and I'm not going to give him anything. He's a great rider. I've been learning a lot from him, but, you know, I'm just out there trying to win just as badly as he is.
Well, guys, there's a very happy Roger DeCoster nearby as he's got a 1-2 sweep in this heat. We'll see you in the main.
Okay, Marty, Suzuki hasn't won in the Dome here in Georgia, and they haven't won in Atlanta since 1983. Okay, the battle to make the main continues from Atlanta in a moment.
This double jump sent him on a trip over the bar. That left Pichon to lead out front, while the only other rider in the pack who could challenge was number 7, just going past your screen there, John Dowd. And then disaster struck for Pichon. On one of the triples, a rider had crashed at the landing jump, and Pichon had to bail out in one of the most horrifying crashes of the year. So with Pichon out and losing valuable points in the 125 title, it was the veteran, John Dowd, inheriting the lead and his first win of the 96 season. Joining him on the podium were an ecstatic Jimmy Neese and Charlie Bogart.
Talking about the heat racing earlier now in the 250s, guys, it was a battle of teammates. What an unusual sight in both heat races.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like about this time of the season. There are no team orders yet for any of the riders. They can go out there, they can bang bars with the guy next to him in the truck. Makes for good racing.
David, back in the mid-'80s, you had such a battle as well in heat races as well as the races themselves. Rick Johnson, Johnny O'Mara, you guys were banging pretty good.
Well, we banged pretty good. I think one that really comes to my mind, and something that always is talked about so much, is in 1986 at Anaheim. Rick and I had a great battle, and it was his first ride for Honda. And before the main event, we looked at each other and kind of shook on it that we wouldn't really mess with each other. We would just ride safe, and then the gate dropped, and Rick ran into me about 5 or 6 times, and I had to beat him. It made me mad.
Well, Anaheim was one of my favorites. It was a good race here in Atlanta, too. David, do you have a favorite?
I like the Anaheim race, but I was kind of pulling for Rick.
Look out, if you're listening, Rick, anyway. Interesting situation now with Kevin Windham. Such a strong race with a 250 coming over from the West Coast 125s. The last time that a 125 rider from the West came here to Atlanta and looked so good was Mike LaRocco when he took a 6th. And then Windham last year showed he's no stranger at a 250.
Well, 3rd place at Charlotte. Great ride in the mud. I think he's got a little bit more experience at riding those conditions, being from Louisiana, but certainly has the speed to finish on the podium here tonight.
Coming up, we've got a very unlucky rider in the semifinals, guys. Mike Kudrowski, who we mentioned earlier, has done well here in Atlanta, but bad luck once again.
Yeah, you know, remember back in 1990 we had that great battle of Atlanta. I remember I thought Kudrowski was going to win until he and Bradshaw went down together. he still never repaid that debt or whatever. Atlanta just doesn't seem to be a good place for him.
Mike Kudrowski's the kind of rider that I think forgets about that sort of thing once he gets into a new race. Don't you, David?
I think so, too. And he also had a great battle with his teammate LaRocco, and he lost that in the last lap. LaRocco muscled his way by, but certainly gone fast here, and he got gypped in the heat race, high siding off the back of Jimmy Button, so I'd look for him to do things better in the main.
Out of the semifinal round, remember, the top 5 riders will go directly to the main event, and then only one chance remains to make the money. Only the money is in the main. The last chance quality. It's on to the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Always a great crowd there. Then to the Lone Star State for Houston. Over to Orlando's Citrus Bowl. Up to the Gateway to the west. And then into Pontiac, Charleston, and Dallas. Las Vegas, get your tickets early. The rumor is we're going back to the Silver Bowl in Las Vegas. Getting set now for the first semifinal round. Check it out. Mike LaRocco, Damon Bradshaw, Steve Lamson, Jimmy Button, Mike Kudrowski. What names to compete in this opening round of the semis?
Amazing the amount of talent. If anybody was tuning in late, they would just assume this was the first heat. So many guys not making it out, and part of the reason for that was Kevin Windham riding so good in the heat race. He bumped a lot of guys back.
Waiting for a late bike to get into the gate, Marco Dubé. Let's go down to Marty.
Guys, keep an eye on Steve Lamson. His starts have been horrendous. Once he gets started, he seems to be able to maintain that same position in the field, but boy, he's just not been able to get out of the gate very well, and it's starting to have an effect on him mentally. David, you probably can explain that better than anybody.
Well, it's just like you go to the driving range and everything you hit goes left. You know, it's so hard to line up on the tee and with trees on one side and water on the other and have any kind of confidence, and that's the problem he's facing now.
Okay, the board is sideways. LaRocco in this field. He got a win here in 1995. They are off. Lamson to the inside. Bradshaw, number 10. On the outside is Jimmy Button. It's Damon Bradshaw, number 10, out in front. Button, then Lamson, then Kudrowski.
Well, Bradshaw's certainly comfortable in this soil, winning here in the past, and a much better start that time for Lamson, sneaking around the inside.
Lamson slowed up on the rhythm section.
Yeah, little bobble right there, cost him 2 spots. The competition is so tough. These are the 4 guys that just got bumped out of the heat race. LaRocco at the tail end of this battle in the top 4.
LaRocco, though, a good opportunity to move up. Bradshaw, though, pulling away. Kudrowski in second, Button third, Lamson fourth, LaRocco in fifth.
You know, all year long, it seems like the later we get in the evening, the faster Mike LaRocco goes. Maybe this will be one of those nights where he just feels it out. After about the 5th lap, he'll just kick it in.
Could be, could be. Karsten is in 6th position, but there's a big gap between him and LaRocco. So it looks like the top 5 have a good shot at qualifying easily. You see number 18, Jimmy Button. Button having trouble with injuries all year. He's in front now of Lamson, number 4. That's our next battle. Lammy, better timing through the rhythm section this time.
Well, Lamson had a great shot in the first turn. It come out in 3rd, then he worked his way into 2nd, made a little bobble, lost 2 spots. Then he was getting a lot of pressure from LaRocco. That would just be devastating right there to get passed by LaRocco, drop back even another spot.
Lamson with a 4th here last year, a 9th in 1995.
Lamson having a tough time getting around Button. Button riding the best line. Lamson doesn't have anywhere to go, but
you know, I know that Steve Lamson's Honda's brightest hope right now. Team Honda having lost Jeremy and everything, but he should not be behind Jimmy Button at this point in the race. I know Jimmy's a super fast privateer and everything, but Lamson, he's got to do more for Honda.
We knew that they had a lot of tweaking to do on that new aluminum body, especially with suspension. It's all there. It's totally different than the steel body they had before, but that was straightened out.
Well, the guys had a tough time getting used to it, just like Davey said. I think that, you know, the bike is working now. Lamson's lap times always look good. He's fast. He's led races. He beat Jeremy in the first heat race of the year at LA. I mean, he's got the speed. It's just bad decisions and maybe a little bit added pressure, which we've already talked about, being the only guy in that semi in the 250 class.
Bradshaw still out in front, and he has the first ever win here at the Atlanta Dome.
Great pass by Lamson. Came off the finish line jump, just aimed it to the inside. Button couldn't hold it.
Karsten skidded out right before the finish line jump. Steve Lamson in third. Here comes Button.
There was a tricky thing Lamson just did coming out of the first corner. He jumped up all the way over that little camel hump. The Yamaha guys were doing that in practice. Now Lamson's got it wired.
The checkers are going to fly when we come back here in semifinal number 1. Area for Bike Week. Check it out. If you can't, check out our broadcast at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the 16th of March.
Yeah, one of those things we were talking about with those Hondas, it's something to keep in mind. Damon Bradshaw and Mike Kudrowski are also riding those aluminum frame Hondas.
And now those three Hondas are in the first 3 spots. So I would say they got the bike dialed in. And my philosophy on this is when you make that big of a change to a motorcycle, it seems like you've also got that much potential. So they got a few years of development to get that bike even better than it already is.
And what's the fascinating thing, Wes McCoy was telling me that the distribution department in the sales, it is such a hot product out there in the market, they're all out of bikes. They can't sell anymore. The distribution manager came to him and said, I want some of your race bikes back.
Yeah, that's because that bike is just the neatest looking piece of equipment in this day and age of no more works bikes, so to speak. You get a bike like that, comes out and totally revolutionizes the market. They sold those bikes out long before the first race.
Okay, it's 1, 2, 3 Hondas on the white flag lap with Jimmy Button and Mike LaRocco in 4th and 5th.
Something that's got me a little surprised, Art, is the fact that LaRocco was challenging Lamson right here. Now you can see back behind Lamson how far it is to LaRocco, who's just now finishing the triple.
Maybe he's recapturing that confidence he needs.
Definitely a boost for Lamson to have struggled in the early laps, getting himself going. Now he's putting pressure on the leaders, but still, don't ignore the ride by Bradshaw. He's had pressure, and he's handled it.
And how about that number 100, Mike Kudrowski? A crash with Swink, and he failed to qualify in the first round. A 9th, a 13th, a 6th, and a 6th. He says, I'm gearing up for Daytona. It is Bradshaw, Kudrowski, and Lamson. Jimmy Button will be our 4th rider going to the main event out of our first semifinal round, and coasting across on number 5, the Suzuki, is Mike LaRocco. So Damon Bradshaw, who says he's been having fun, but he's had very little results. Maybe this is the night.
Damon's always been one of those people who says the pressure doesn't get to him, that he just wants to go out there and have fun and ride. But you know, right now, we're 5 races into the series, he hasn't had a really great ride. Maybe Atlanta would be the night for him.
His opening round at 9th, his best end result so far on the season. Okay, the official results. Marty visits with our injury right before the season started. He started the season under par, but looks like he's coming on strong.
Well, we're starting to stand down here with Damon Bradshaw. This is becoming 2 weeks in a row that you and I've talked up here. Is this going to be a trend now?
I hope not. Actually, I don't like riding these semis, but I'd much rather make it that first one. It's a little less time on the track, and, you know, we have a long main event.
As far as what's different this year from like last year, I mean, last year we weren't talking much at all.
Yeah, I had a few good finishes last year in the beginning of the season. It kind of tapered off after that, but you know, I've been struggling with my starts, and this weekend and last weekend they've been getting better. So you know, hopefully the main event will be good to me off the start.
Damon Bradshaw, winner, semi number 1.
Okay, Marty, thanks so much. And that's the 3rd consecutive week Damon Bradshaw's won a semifinal. So his sponsors are hoping for a little bit more fun. Brian Swink, number 13, in your picture now. It came off hand surgery on both hands to start the season. He's hoping for a stronger ride here tonight after a 16th and a 14th the last couple of weeks. Here in the 2nd semifinal round, we've got Ryan Hughes and Damon Huffman, along with Swink, Phil Lawrence, Jeff Matasevich, Ryan Huffman, no relation, and Richard Taylor trying to get into the main event. Top 5 qualify and go to the main. And that way they are assured of a paycheck. Of course, David Bailey, you never had to worry about that.
No, I've had my share of having to go to the semi and the last chance, especially early in my career, yeah.
Well, we never hear about that, you know, Davey. He never talks about that, does he?
No, and you know what? David never talks about his privateer days earlier. It's like before you got those good rides and everything, David, I know you were riding out the back of your pickup truck in Virginia.
I was doing whatever it took. I had to take my bike apart and put it in the back of my mom's Toyota Celica once. And everyone laughed at me there. I thought, oh, come on, Dave.
We're still laughing.
You're making us look bad. But, you know, in the race, I made them look bad.
that's probably a lot of what made you the rider you are. And then someone like Doug Henry and John Dowd, they went through the same thing. They weren't very highly touted as amateurs. By the time they got to the pro ranks, they knew what it was like to suffer, and they knew what it was like to be a privateer.
Hard work will really overcome all that natural talent that guys like Ron Lachine have, but then the hard work comes in. They can't put it in, and guys like Stanton come up and pass them.
Okay, the tremendous crowd here at the Georgia Dome, and we've had attendance that's been up 30% overall in all of our events this year from 64,000 in Phoenix. Get your tickets now if it's coming near you. They're getting set, and they're off. Ryan Hughes gets a good point position, number 9, along with Huffman, number 17. On the outside, it's Phil Lawrence, number 13 on the inside. Ryan Hughes, number 9, and out in front, the point man is Huffman, who's getting a teammate battle with Ryan Hughes. Hughes takes the inside.
Wow, Hughes made that corner so quick. He stopped short. He just wanted to give his teammate a little more room out there. Got around the inside so quick, he held the lead. I thought he was going to drop a spot there.
What is this teammate bit? Now, we've got 4 Kawasaki's in the first 4 positions.
I'll tell you what, I was just thinking that. I know the 5th place rider is Phil Lawrence. He's comfortable right there, but he's got Jeff Matasevic behind him. That would give Kawasaki a 1-2-5 sweep here in the semi.
Okay, Ryan Hughes continues to hold on. Ryan has had a very disappointing start to the Supercross season. In fact, so has Damon Huffman.
Well, Huffman, it's just been a lot of injuries and trying to get his confidence back. Then he has knee problems, and then he gets that taken care of, and then he hasn't been able to ride enough, and his arms are pumping up. So his results really don't show how talented he is. Same thing with Brian Swink. This guy is also a fantastic rider. He's one of the first guys to jump a lot of things out there. He's very brave, but had a lot of setbacks.
Would you see that? Number 17, Huffman, wisely got on the brakes because a rider that is not that accomplished, Ryan Huffman, came zipping by and could have put him down. Okay, out in front, Ryan Hughes, number 9. Then it's Ryan Huffman. Then Damon Huffman. Phil Lawrence.
At this point, Damon's just got to be smart. I mean, he knows he's in a qualifying position and probably hasn't had a lot of experience at riding with Ryan Huffman to know just what his habits are out there on the racetrack. Plus, he's got Swink behind him, who's very aggressive. You know, he's got to play his cards right now.
One of the ironic things is the only guy out there on the track that ever won a 250 Supercross main event is the guy on the bubble in 6th place, Jeff Matasevic. None of these guys up front have ever won a main event. That's
right. Jeff getting himself into shape for the Japan Series, where he was defending champion and got into the big yen over there on the island.
Now Jeff's looking at all these guys up in front of him going, shoot, man, whatever happened to those days? He led at just about every main event the year he almost won the title. Got a lot of good starts back then, too. Starts are a big key in Supercross.
Okay, 5 more. Get the transfer to the main event out of this semifinal round when we come back.
6 cylinders, 6 carbs, 2 bags.
Take everything you ever knew about cruiser motorcycles. Everything you ever learned from your older brother. Your friends. Biker movies. Throw it out. Because the Marauder is a cruiser like no other. One only a high-performance company could have built. The Suzuki Marauder. It's time to move on.
Hughes with a pretty good lead on this pack of riders right now, and Swink is pulling up pretty well.
Swink has some really creative lines that we're seeing on the screen right now. The last time through, he kind of did a double skip. He got up on the back wheel, pivoted over. We didn't get to see it that time, but a pretty neat line there. You were talking about Lamson earlier, David, having a creative line through there.
Well, like I said before, Swink is one of the guys that's very tricky, and I know when he practices, he does a lot of jumping, and he's one of the best guys at it.
Boy, Huffman having his problems getting around this guy. Bar to bar finally. Number 17 makes the move on Ryan Huffman. So Damon in front of Ryan. Of course, Ryan, if Lammy thinks back to Washougal in the outdoors, he ran into Ryan Huffman when Lammy was going for a title.
That's one of those great things you don't see that often in Supercross. As a hometown kid, a local hero coming out. Huffman did it last year at Washougal. We saw Tony LaRusso do it at South Lake, Massachusetts, too.
For any first-time viewers or anybody looking through the program right now, maybe just a little confusing at the top 3. You got Ryan leading it, you got Ryan in 3rd, and you got Huffman in 2nd and 3rd. A little tough to keep all that straight.
Well, we'll try to do our best. Here's our leader, Ryan Hughes.
Look how fast Huffman was able to make up that difference. As soon as he got around Ryan Huffman, he closed up on Hughes right away.
And look at Swink. Swink's making a move now for third against Ryan Huffman. Huffman starting to fade a bit. Swink goes to the inside. Jerked his shoulder, his stomach into the bars, it looked like. But here comes Swink on the triple. White flag lap coming up as they come around. Look at the battle for first. Oh, it's getting tight, gentlemen. Ryan Hughes, Damon Huffman tasted pretty good there. Swink in third. Ryan Huffman in fourth. And Phil Lawrence in fifth. Those are the qualifying spots.
That's going to leave us with at least one good name in the last chance qualifier. Get Matasevich out there. But I'm surprised that that we haven't seen the same contact up front between these two guys, Ryan Hughes and Damon Huffman. We still have half a lap to go. Maybe Huffman will make a play.
I think at this point, both these guys, I mean, that's true, David, but they've both had such lousy seasons. Of course, hadn't lived up to their own expectations, let alone anyone else's. They just want to get to the main, leave each other completely alone.
Of course, guys, we don't want to downplay the fact that Ryan Hughes has made a podium this year. He had a terrific third-place finish at Phoenix, and he's coming around on the final turn right now with his teammate right behind him. The checkers are waving. For Ryan Hughes, Damon Huffman second. Swink third, a good ride for Swink. Ryan Huffman, an excellent outing in fourth. And Phil Lawrence, who's trying to recover, and it's going to take a long time to recover from a sprained tendon in the thumb. He took the last qualifying position. The others going to the last chance qualifier. Davey.
You know, a lot of times we hear people like Damon Bradshaw. He was up on the podium in our first 250 semi. Said he didn't like to be out there. But you know what? I don't care. When you're a racer, any win. It doesn't matter who it's against. Anytime you see the checkered flag first, get a chance to get up on the podium and talk. Makes you feel good. Maybe that's what this guy, Ryan Hughes, needs.
Well, that's also, if you don't ride that well in your heat race and you come out and you ride a lot better in the semis, like you said, so what if it's a semi? Now I'm riding better. The bike's more dialed in, more used to the track, more warmed up, because everyone else, after they run their heat, they wait a long time before the main.
That's it for qualifying in the semifinal round now. Only the last chance qualifier for the 250 riders and the future superstars. The 125 Eastern racers coming up.
Are you ready for more action, more danger, more impact? Well, your wait is over. The hottest, most intense, extreme Crash Impact of Crash Impact 2. 70 minutes of explosive, heart-stopping crash action. You have to see to believe. All new crashes from Superbikes, Harley Series, drag racing, stock cars, sprint cars, Supercross, Indy cars, flat track, and more. All jam-packed on 2 tapes for only $19.95. Order now and get absolutely free the new Extreme Sports Virtual Reality, featuring insane extreme sports from around the world like you've never seen before. You'll get the all-new Crash Impact 2, plus the Extreme Sports Video free. 3 tapes that'll blow you away. Guaranteed or your money back.
To order, call 1-800-248-3773. That's 1-800-248-3773. Or send $19.95 plus $5.95 shipping and handling to the address on your screen.
AMA Supercross on ESPN2 is being brought to you by Motorcycle Mechanics Institute. Quality training for the motorcycle industry. Well, a well-deserved victory in the final semifinal round of the evening here from the Atlanta, Georgia Dome. Let's go down to Marty Reed talking with the winner.
Well, down here with the man who I've not talked to that much this year. If you had no luck, it'd simply be bad luck.
Yeah, this year's not gone so good for me. I have one good race, and the rest I've had some bad luck, but I'm trying to turn around Kawasaki, and, you know, we're working real hard every week, and, you know, I'm hopefully come away with the win tonight. Felt good that race. I can make a couple better corners, but it'll be better in the main event.
As far as mentally, I mean, it's almost impossible for you to get back into the points championship, but yet you're still riding hard out there.
Yeah, you know, I've always been, you know, the charger and try not to let anything bother me, but it's a little hard when you're so far behind to get the confidence and the desire to keep coming back. But, you know, I want to win a couple of these races this year and, you know, hopefully get back up there in points.
The cheers from the fans can't disappoint you too much. I mean, that's got to spur you on.
Yeah, I love when the fans cheer for me. You know, I've had some bad luck, and they're still behind me in the pits telling me, you know, you can do it. Keep your head up, and, you know, that makes me feel good. And, you know, I'll try to give them a good show tonight.
Ryan Hughes, we'll see him in the main.
Okay, Marty, Jeff Matasevich having to go to the LCQ, which will add a little name value to the final placement for the 20-rider gate coming up. But, of course, we've got the 125 future superstars coming up next as well.
It's over 8 feet long from one end to the other. And it makes you look for the farthest distance between 2 points. The new Valkyrie Tour. America's the boulevard it was born to cruise.
In the Journal, a rock and roll banker makes massive bets, emerging as one of the
Today's
most
Wall Street Journal answers the question, has the West lost Russia?
Trying to travel light? Journal says forget it, as survival gear for the typical business traveler includes
Find out what American automotive company has returned to the driver's seat in Europe.
Why Johnny can't read. Take a look at the latest battle over education
Doctors discourage genetic tests that could help predict
more women are ditching the corporate brat race, becoming the newest entrepreneurial force in America.
Influence communications over the
Meet
internet.
the new workplace hero, the boss who knows you have another life.
The Wall Street Journal is vital to every business day. Subscribe now and get 2 weeks of the Journal free with a paid 10-week subscription. That's 12 weeks for just 66 cents per day. Call 800-227-5300. That's 800-227-5300 for the Wall Street Journal.
ESPN and NHRA are your ticket to all the action. Live on pay-per-view, the Slick 50 Nationals from Houston, Sunday, March 23rd. Call your cable company or satellite provider and order now for just $14.95. You'll go trackside to meet the drivers, catch all the highlights and instant replays, and get the complete stats on every run. It's just like being there. The Slick 50 Nationals, Sunday, March 23rd, 11:30 to 7. Call now to catch all the action.
Welcome back to the Georgia Dome. Jeff Matasevich and Corey Keeney, a Western 125 rider, secured the final 2 positions at the gate out of the last chance qualifier. As we take a look at number 29, Scott Sheak. It's not easy for a privateer to catch the eyes of a factory team, but Scott got the big break when Team Honda signed him for this 125 Eastern Series.
I feel lucky. Yeah, it takes a lot to get noticed. I mean, there's riders that they have their moments, and it's really hard being a privateer. You know, it's hard to be consistent. They had their eye on me all last year, and on the outdoor, I got 2 seconds and 3rd, I believe. But I won that moto in Mount Morris. Honda, they seen the potential I had and the motivation that I had, and they really seen me and grabbed me when they could.
Being able to focus on the job at hand the last couple of years led to the break Scott Sheak needed. He wasn't one of the more glorified amateurs.
I've been racing since I was 6, and my family supported me so well throughout the years, and they've always been behind me. But I've always seemed like I was a step behind everybody. Up until, you know, the last 2 years, I've really had to put my foot down and really get myself organized and really figure out really what I wanted. You know, I set my goals and put a lot of hard work into it, and really was really focused.
What would he have been if not a professional Supercross rider?
I would be an artist, or I'd be a chef. I have a lot of artistic abilities. I draw my own helmets, and you know, I draw on the side. I'm setting up a studio in California in the condo where I'm living, and you know, I love to cook. I cook for myself, and I cook for as many people as I can. So those are 2 things that I enjoy and I do in my spare time.
Scott Sheak is a listener and a quick learner. He has the tenacity of his idol Bob Hanna.
And every time I gotten hurt and I've gotten back on a motorcycle, I've always thought of Bob Hanna and trying to get back on the bike and not having it affect me.
And the work ethic of his Honda mentor, Jeff Stenton.
Jeff has been in my situation before, so they've, you know, obviously I feel that I know a lot, but there's always more. With their support, they help me out and they get me on that track, you know, of learning a lot more.
David Bailey, how did you get your first break coming out of the privateer ranks?
Well, it was a phone call from Roger DeCoster saying, would you like to ride for Team Honda? So I rode for him for $12,000. Think about that, 12 grand. I was making more money as a privateer, but I knew that the chances and my opportunities at Honda to go a long ways were there, and it worked.
Okay, as we see the Suzuki point standings, John Dowd, the winner of the first 125 Eastern round, of course, leads in the points, but only 3. As we take a look at round number 2 coming up and the Suzuki starting grid. On that starting grid, some great names. John Dowd, our last week's winner. Stefan Roncada, who won his heat race. Here's number 14, John Dowd, taking a practice lap. Out of the West, it'll be Brian Deegan, number 28. The 17-year-old rookie, Ricky Carmichael. Some people predict he might get his first Supercross Pro victory here tonight. Someone in the booth.
After Ricky's auspicious beginning last week in Indianapolis, I know he went back to the drawing board. He's a young kid. He can bounce back real quick, maybe tonight.
Jimmy Neese has done well here. We just got the official attendance, 58,204. Whoa, my goodness, that beats last year's attendance record of 45,992. 58,208 fans here in the Georgia Dome.
No, it's a great year to be breaking records like that because we got some of the best racing ever. This 125 class is tougher than ever in the 250s. McGrath still haven't won a race, so it's a lot of drama.
John Dowd, you see it right there, has to feel good coming into Atlanta after that opening season win. And his very first Supercross win came here last year.
You know, last year I got myself all nervous thinking about the points lead that I had, you know, after this race. And, you know, this year I just want to kind of approach the whole thing differently. I want to go look at it race by race. You know, I don't even want to talk about the points. I've already discussed it with my mechanic. You know, we kind of we don't want to sit here and talk points. I mean, yeah, it's way too early.
Dowd knows this is an important year for his career. Curing that nervousness is a big key. Let's go down to Marty.
Well, you guys talked about John Dowd and his nerves. He's a lot more nervous about what's happening at home. Wife Trish, for the first time, is no longer allowed to make the trip because she is pregnant. Now, she is due in a couple of weeks, but of course, sometimes these first children decide not to wait. So he's got a pager. What I want to know is if his pager goes off in the middle of the race, is he going to stop to make a phone call?
He might quicken his pace a little, Davey.
Yeah, that's right. You know, we had that happen with Doug Henry last year at the Binghamton National, if I'm not mistaken, or rather with Southwick, I'm sorry. He had to just skip the whole trophy presentation so he get there and see the delivery of he and Stacy's first child.
You get a look at the mammoth crowd here in this beautiful Georgia Dome. Matt Shue is a local favorite. He's in there. Tim Ferry, a second last week. David Pingree. Barry Karsten, the Ironman, who's been in his 11th season right now. That's Keith Johnson, who last week was in both the 125 and 250 main events. He's going to take over that Ironman title from old man Karsten.
Well, he just might. Imagine how physically demanding it is to ride both bikes, to get used to both bikes, and to ride that many laps out here. But well, just a few moments ago, we got a good look at John Dowd. He grabbed some dirt and spread it out on his seat. Kind of made sure that seat was all tacky. You see baseball players doing that to the bat. Even with the gloves they wear now, some of the guys still do it. I think he's trying to get a little bit more traction, stay over the front end of that motorcycle, see if he can get the whole shot.
Here in the Georgia Dome, Henry won it in 93. Lusk won the 125 in 94. Pashone in 95. Dowd in 96. Can Dowd become the first rider to win a 125 here in the Dome 2 years in a row? Number 14 puts on the goggles. Don't forget Chad Pedersen. He won the last chance qualifier after not doing too well in the heat race because of his bike. I think his bike stalled.
Out over the gate, yeah, the bike kind of stalled on him. He had a terrible start. He worked his way into a good position, but not good enough. There's Ricky Carmichael. Everyone's calling him RC. I think this kid's going to be around a while.
Well, sounds like he might have an endorsement right off the bat. Okay, we're just about set as that 30-second board is up. I think it'll go sideways almost any second now. And we will get our second 125 Eastern round underway. And, of course, who will win the $500? The 1-900 Pro Race Whole Shot Award. It's not going to be easy to determine as they head into that corner. Karsten, number 34. He needs the money. He's got the $500. 22 on the outside. Sheak is down in the first turn.
Oh, it looks like he's okay. He's getting the bike going again, but he's got a lot of ground to make up. And now Tim Ferry worked his way into the lead.
Tim Ferry, along with Jeff DeMent, number 50 in second place. And then Shu, the local favorite from LJ, Georgia, is in third. He goes down in the corner. He's no longer in third place. Taking over that third place is Ricky Carmichael, number 70. So out in front, Team Suzuki's number 22, Tim Ferry. He hails out of Palm Harbor, Florida.
He's got Jeff DeMent running in second. Jeff, I don't think is capable, not for the whole race anyway, from what I've seen in the past, to run Ferry's pace. That might help Ferry. A little buffer from Carmichael coming up in third.
We see a good name, Scott Sheak, in last place, but John Dowd is in 14th.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened to John on the start, but he got equally bad. Last year, he didn't have such a great start, but all the mayhem we had out in front with Mikel Pichon and everything, he's able to sneak his way up in there, but he's going to need a lot of breaks tonight. He's got Roncada right in front of him. I don't know what happened to Roncada either.
They must have jammed up in that start somehow, but Tim Ferry, who loves the South, he's always run well at Daytona, has had good runs here in the 125 action. Ferry was second in 94. In 96 last year, he crashed with a nosedive, but he got up and took an 8th place. He was second back in 95 behind Pichon.
If he can keep his cool right here, this race should be his. He's got a great lead. He looked fantastic in practice. He was fast last week, passing Roncada. The final turn for second. Only thing that's going to change his program right now is if he turns around soon and sees number 70 coming hard. That would be Carmichael.
Here comes Carmichael. Carmichael makes the move into second place. As we take a look at the Yamahas in back, here's Tim Ferry, our leader. He's got a 4-second lead, but Ricky Carmichael is mighty fast. If he can stay on 2 wheels, he could catch him.
Well, both Carmichael and Ferry have been, from what I've seen anyway so far, these guys are capable of running out front, but big mistakes have cost them. If they can stay mistake-free, it looks like these guys are going to have a great battle if Carmichael can catch him.
Jeff DeMent from Humboldt, Texas, after a great start, slipping back to third. We'll see if he can hold on there, but he's got some rushing action right behind him as we see Ricky Carmichael come over the start-finish line.
Yeah, you know the thing about Dowd and Roncada and Sheak, all the bad starts, this is going to break down into a 2-man race, because I really don't think that DeMent or who's that behind him, Robbie Skaggs, or even Chad Pedersen have the pace to go with those lead 2 guys. That's where your race is going to be, Art.
Number 70 is 4 seconds behind the leader, Tim Ferry, who will win round 2 of the 125 East. The run for the checkers when we come back.
The bike you dream about means serious cash, right? Wrong, people. Do the math. During Suzuki Fest 97, get up to $500 in Suzuki accessories free when you buy a selected Suzuki. Like the muscle-bound Intruder 1400. You'll also get free accessories with the Intruder 800 and the Savage 650. And choose from finance options like 0 down and 9.9% APR on selected models. But hurry, Suzuki Fest won't last. So you and Suzuki means, well, you do the math.
Have you ever considered a career as a commercial diver? If so, there's no better school to give you the training than Divers Institute of Technology. Whether it's working on offshore oil, underwater construction, raising sunken vessels on a salvage job, or doing hull repair, Divers Institute of Technology has the staff, the equipment, and the location to offer real open water training. Divers Institute of Technology. Call today to start your career as a commercial diver.
It all comes down to this. Championship Week begins Sunday, March 2nd on ESPN2.
We're looking at Tim Ferry. Second place in 2 years in the last 3 right here in Atlanta is just not good enough for this guy. You know, he told us before the first round of the 125s last week in Indianapolis, guys, that he's got a trainer helping him work harder to get more strength because that was the rap on him last year, and he finished strong at Indy.
He looked great. In fact, in Indy, one of the things that I haven't seen in a long time, if ever, really, was he got the whole shot in his heat race, and on the first lap went off the triple and just threw it sideways and waved to the crowd. That's a big mark of confidence in my mind, and He backed it up with a great ride. He won his heat, but came up just a little short in the main event. He's got his opportunity here to pick up a win, though.
Ricky Carmichael has cut his lead down to 2.5 seconds. Oh, he must have had a vicious lap.
Yeah, these guys are a couple kids from Florida. I know they didn't grow up together because Ferry's a little bit older, but imagine what's going through Ricky's mind right now, getting up there and knocking off the kid who's really supposed to be the top rider in Florida these past couple years.
Ricky Carmichael lives actually closer to Ezra Lusk in Bainbridge, Georgia, than he does Tim Ferry, but they like to race on this soil. The red bauxite soil is very familiar to Ricky Carmichael.
Well, I used to live in Tallahassee, and it's a little sandier there, but you still get a lot of this red clay, and he may be comfortable on it. This battle back here behind the leaders, you see a hay bale's gotten drug out into the first turn, but that's number 25, Pedersen, whose bike quit in the heat race as soon as he went over the starting gate. They got that dialed back in. He's got a shot at the podium if he can get around these two guys.
Roncada has moved up to 7th. Dowd has moved up to 10th.
Yeah, I'm surprised Roncada's coming through the pack just a little quicker than Dowd. I know Roncada is not as strong as Dowd will be at the end of the race. Maybe he can get away. Be real good for Roncada, especially at the end.
How about an update from Marty Reed?
Hey, guys, I'm looking at the signboards down here. Lee McCollum, who's mechanic for Tim Ferry, says, be smooth. And then I look over at Chad Watts, and he's telling his boy, you can, in big, bold letters.
Roncada is really making a move now as Skaggs went down in the turn right before the jump finish line. Dowd has now moved into 9th place as we check out Tim Ferry, number 22. He's had a lot of bad luck injuries.
This is the section last year, except they're going the opposite direction where he went over the handlebars. Looked like he had a great chance to challenge Pichon for the win, and came up a little short right there. But through this section, he's been losing time to Carmichael. The whoop section of all places for that short kid, Carmichael. Everyone says he's too short to ride with these big boys. He's making up all his time in the whoop.
Well, about the only thing he has trouble with is picking up a bike after he goes down. But if he doesn't go down, look out. He's only 1.5 seconds now in back of Tim Ferry.
You said that about Ricky being short. David, who's the other short guy, could go fast through the whoops.
Jeff Ward. Every time somebody tells me Mark Carmichael's is too short, they don't know if he's going to mature into a great pro rider. I just say, look at his amateur record. Look how well he's done so far. Look at the confidence this kid has, and look at him through the whoop.
Here's the battle for 3rd. Jeff DeMent, number 50, and right behind him is Chad Pedersen, who had such a great arena cross season. At the first halfway point, which meant a $10,000 bonus, he was the points leader. But of course, signed up with Chaparral to come to the 125 East.
Yeah, one thing about Jeff DeMent, that's a kid right in front of Chad. DeMent was one of those people who oddly chose the 250 class the last couple years. I think it really hurt him. Otherwise, he would be one of those guys like Tim Ferry with a 125 factory ride.
Well, he thought he got the break when he got the KTM factory ride. It pulled him out of the privateer ranks, but it was not a good move.
No, it probably wasn't, especially since he's got the kind of height that requires some learning on the 125. They pushed him right in the 250 ranks. He had a good bike, but it wasn't the bike for him.
25, Chad Pedersen makes the move in the pass on Jeff DeMent. DeMent not giving up easily.
You can see that setup from that great camera shot as it came out of the corner. You can see Pedersen, he squared the corner, and then he immediately cut back to the inside, positioned himself to the inside off that finish line jump. Worked perfect. I think we're going to see a lot more of that in 250 class.
Oh, back and forth we go. DeMent's just not giving up.
I like to see that from DeMent. I know he's a fighter. He won't give up. Pedersen's tough, too.
Chad Pedersen really gained a lot of confidence. Of course, he was a privateer in the outdoors one year, privateer of the year. And he had his truck stolen, his bike stolen. He did everything to get back on the track, Davey.
That's back to one of those character builders we were talking about when David was talking about when he used to go to races in his mom's Celica. You don't know what that means to you. It's like going through the college ranks, you know, and you get to the pro ranks all of a sudden. You know what it takes to win. Some of these guys jump right up into a starring role. Maybe like someone like Ricky, but you got these other kids who they paid their dues, and every single position, every lap means something to these guys.
Back to our leader, Tim Ferry, and now here we go to 2nd place in Ricky Carmichael. His shirt flapping in the breeze.
No matter what he does, he can't keep that thing tucked in. But one thing he can do is go fast. Look at his timing through that whoop section. Over the double jump, which is barely anything at all, he still has time to reach up and clear his vision. He's close enough to Ferry now to start getting roosted. Ferry's going to feel it.
Still 1.5 seconds. It'll be interesting to see how Ferry reacts to that kind of pressure.
What do you think will be more important at the end of the race, David? Ferry's experience or Carmichael's just absolute enthusiasm getting us possibly his first win?
Well, I think it's a toss-up, really. Carmichael goes to the inside. He could have gone out there and been maybe a little bit over-aggressive and taken Ferry.
We've got a race on our hands for the 125 Eastern Main here in Atlanta. Oh, my goodness. Here goes Carmichael. A great leap off the triple, but a lapper, and he clears it nicely. He looks more experienced than a 17-year-old rookie out there, I'll tell you.
I'll tell you when I threw my arms up right there, I thought that was it for Ricky. Not only did he over-jump the jump, but he had to steer around that down rider in the corner. Very, very smooth for a 17-year-old.
He's riding with a lot more patience and poise than I saw last week. He's learned his lesson quickly. Paying off for him, already leading. Now Ferry wasn't able to do the triple jump right behind Carmichael here, so he's opened up a little lead already.
Okay, the battle for first place is defined right now. Carmichael now looks back to see how far Ferry is back and guns the throttle.
That's a pretty good distance now, and you can see it, a couple of the shots. Carmichael steering clear of all the ruts, so that should help him stay mistake-free to the end.
That was a particularly bad lap for Ferry. I don't know what was wrong there, but if Carmichael can make a breakaway here, it's going to mean a lot. But then again, Ferry's got that trainer. He's got that strength. We saw it last week.
Oh, they always say that first win is so difficult to get, and especially your first year, David Bailey.
Well, it hasn't been too long for Carmichael to be up. It's only his second race, and he's already looking like he can win. Looked like he could win last week, but he went down the first corner. He went down again, trying hard to catch up.
How long did it take you to get your first one?
Forever. It took forever, but once I got it, I won a lot more.
Well, I have a feeling Ricky Carmichael's going to win a lot more, too. Let's check out the Honda stopwatch now for Ricky Carmichael to see what kind of lap times this youngster is putting together.
There you get a look from Ferry's point of view at the back of Carmichael, almost entering the first corner. He's got that entire straightaway lead already.
Look at the jumping style of Ricky Carmichael. Look like a skier going over the bars.
Be interesting to see what he does on the last lap if he wins. Is he too short to do a hill clicker?
I think so.
His arms are just short. Now, come on, guys. Carmichael, Ferry, Pedersen, DeMent, and Skaggs, the top 5.
This is one guy we haven't seen win. Who knows what he can pull off, but we can't count the chickens before they're hatched. He's got a long ways to go here. He's riding with, like I said, a lot of patience. He took his time to make that move for the lead. It paid off, and he's been pulling away ever since.
I think it takes a lot of maturity for a youngster like this to be able to come back after such a disappointing premiere.
He was certainly under the gun last week at Indianapolis after the bad laps he had running into Brock Sellards, getting taken out in the first turn. To come back this quick, a lot of confidence, a lot of youth out there. That's the only thing you can say. The kid's young. He don't stay down for long.
Stefan Roncada is moving up the pack now. He is in 5th place behind DeMent.
Carmichael off the finish line jumped that last lap. Had a little stroke of luck, a lapped rider.
No, they're down there on the finish line jump. Going down was Jeff DeMent, number 50, a bad break for the Humble, Texas man, and out here is a fight on our hands. John Dowd, as you mentioned earlier, Davey, getting stronger as the race goes on. He's pounding on Roncada.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Roncada's lasted in front of him this long. I mean, they came out of that first lap right there close together. John had a few things he had to get around and a few people he had to pass, but I'm surprised he still hasn't caught Roncada.
We're looking at the white flag lap now. Last lap for Ricky Carmichael. History in the making.
Well, I think we're going to see this a lot. Carmichael already wisely knows he's got enough space. Only went for the double or the triple. Here's the battle, though, still continuing between Dowd.
Oh, it's a good one. Dowd getting by Roncada. Roncada, though, wants to take it back again. Oh, and he couldn't make the jump. The timing was wrong. Final lap, final lap. Look at this battle underway in the 125s. This will really mix up the point standings as well.
Well, Dowd is definitely ridden hard. He's going to make up valuable points. Look at Carmichael.
Carmichael on the final turn now before the speed bumps, before coming across the line.
Very carefully.
Checkers. Ricky Carmichael, Pro Circuit Kawasaki. Tim Ferry in 2nd place will now move into the points lead with 44 points. Ricky Carmichael doing a great job.
You know, his mechanic is Chad Watts. Chad guided McKelvey Schoen to 2 125 East Region titles. He might have a third one on his hand right here.
You know, Davey, you had confidence that Ricky Carmichael was ready for his first win here. He actually told us before the race he was going to win. And then he pulls it off. Does that sound a little Bob Hanna-ish to you?
Sounds a lot like Bob Hanna. This kid is cocky, and he's backing it up already, so that'll work.
John Dowd went from 15th to 4th, gentlemen. We'll be right back with the official results, as well as Marty talking to the 17-year-old when we get back.
6 cylinders, 6 carbs, 2 bags, 1 windshield. It's a good thing we got 50 states. The new Valkyrie Tour. America's the boulevard it was born to cruise.
I'm a soft-spoken kind of guy. There's nothing more important to me than a quiet chat with my son, Shaquille. I just marched to the phone and dialed 1-800-COLLECT. The money I saved him, he can use to buy some new backboards. Take it through the hole, Shaquille. He's gonna and they wonder where he gets it from.
1-800-COLLECT. Save the people you call up to 44%.
I keep thinking about those hunters we surprised today.
Oh, did you see the looks on their faces when they ran for their ATVs?
Yeah. That one guy had a Suzuki King Quad. Did you see it take off up that hill and into the woods? I didn't even bother going after it.
Oh, yeah, them Suzuki's got a lock-in front differential, independent suspension. You can't touch them.
I bet that other guy wishes he'd had a King Quad.
Oh, yeah, that guy was delicious.
The Suzuki King Quad. More features than your friend's ATV.
For over 30 years, Cycle News has been the weekly newspaper for motorcycle race fans. Results are official, point standings are current, and race coverage is timely and complete.
Oh, it was a great race, you know. I mean, it was an interesting race. And to win the last race and see.
It's something I dreamed of when I was a little kid, is to be a Supercross star. And
Riding impressions, new products, events calendar, classified ads, and more. Cycle News, America's weekly motorcycle newspaper. Call 1-800-325-2925 or visit cyclenews.com on the World Wide Web. Back in the Georgia Dome, and here was the key move in this battle for Ricky Carmichael, number 70. Making the move. What a difference a weekend makes. Ricky Carmichael finishing in 19th place in the first race of the year, winning his first professional Supercross here. And Marty Reed is down with a very happy redhead right now.
And I don't know if he knows this, but they asked David Bailey how long it took him to win his first race. All he could remember was forever. You've done it at number 2. What a comeback after last week at Indianapolis.
Yeah, I don't know what the problem was last weekend in Indianapolis. I mean, I guess the ball didn't roll in Pro Circus direction, and I'm glad to put Mitch up here on the podium, and I'd like to thank my mom and dad for getting me here, my buddy Terry for helping me out, and, you know, just getting out on my Supercross track and stop watching me the whole time. And I'm just so happy right now. I'd like to thank my mechanic, Chad, and he's done a great job. I couldn't ask for a better mechanic. And, you know, all my friends, just, I'm proud.
You said before the race that you were going to win. You going to predict victory again next time out?
I don't know. I needed to get my confidence level up because after last weekend, I thought it was going to be forever until I won one. And I don't think I'm going to have, I don't want to say I'm going to win. I just, you know, think inside that I could win.
Well, he did here. Let's swing over to second place now and catch up with Tim Ferry. I know you are not happy, but take us through what happened, because you looked like you were in control of the race.
Yeah, you know, I felt pretty good at the beginning. That's the first hole shot I've gotten in a long time. I basically just rode a little bit tense. I've been a little bit under the weather this week, feeling sick. I don't know what it was. I was just a little bit off, and Ricky rode really good, you know. I hate to see my little brother beat me, but, you know, he rode good, and there's nothing I could do for him tonight.
As far as the rest of the season, everybody's been talking about him coming on. Then he had the debut at Indianapolis. Is this a mental thing now between everybody? Are they going to play the Ricky Carmichael game?
I'm not. You know, Ricky's going to be fast. He's going to be fast from here to there. But, no, everybody's got to take their dues. You know, it takes a long time to get used to Supercross. And I've been in this 125 class forever. I feel kind of like John Dowd. But, you know, I think at the end of the series, you know, I think I'll come out on top. But he'll be strong here and there.
Marty, it is a logjam as far as the Suzuki point standings are concerned. because as we take a look at Ricky Carmichael winning, Ferry in second, Pedersen third, Dowd fourth, and Roncada in fifth, that makes a logjam. Ferry still holding on by the edge of his toenails, the leading points with 44 points if we have added up correctly. Dowd just 1 point behind him, and Roncada and Pedersen right there banging on the door. What a great start on the 125 season in the Eastern Division.
Pretty amazing to me, Carmichael just out of the blocks like this, only a second race. We're starting to see what we saw back in the early 80s when you heard about Ron Lachine so much or Johnny O'Mara so much, and all of a sudden those guys came out and they delivered right away, and we're seeing it again.
So as the 1 in 25 victory celebration continues down at the floor of the stadium, the run for the big bucks is getting ready. The 250 machines here at the Georgia Dome next.
Jock Jams Volume 1. Now, look what we got. Everybody is rocking to Jock Jams Volume 2. Get Jock Jams Volume 2. 17 of the hottest crowd-pumping jams of all time. On CD for just $16.98 or cassette for just $10.98. You've never heard anything like Jock Jams Volume 2. Hey, just can't wait to party? Take out your credit card and call now. We'll send you Jock Jams Volume 2. Your order will be shipped by guaranteed priority mail at no extra charge. Come on, get on your feet and call now for Jock Jams Volume 2.
This is how we do it.
It will rock you.
Call now with your credit card for Jock Jams 2. 1-800-367-9400.
Women's hoops shifts into high gear during the conference championships on ESPN2. Rivalries run deep and emotions are high when teams battle for tickets to the big dance. The madness takes over as 4 top conferences hit the hardwood. The Atlantic 10 Championship at 5 and the SEC Championship at 7. Then the Big Ten Finals at 9 and the Conference USA title match at 11. The Conference Championships, Monday on ESPN2.
AMA Supercross is being brought to you by Dunlop. Simply the best for your bike. Welcome back to a packed Georgia Dome here in Atlanta, Georgia. The 250s are warming up right now, getting ready for a parade lap here at the Georgia Dome before a record-breaking Supercross crowd. Hello, everybody. Art Ekman along with Davey Coombs and David Bailey up top. We'll get to Marty Reed in a second. Guys, a lot of people asking, when will Jeremy McGrath win a race?
Yeah, we're at the 6th round. You know, Jeremy, 4-time champion. Last few years, they called him Showtime. His critics are now calling him Show Me the Money. But no matter what, Jeremy's just got to show up tonight here in Atlanta. He's lost a lot of ground early.
And it's a difficult thing to do when you take a look at the field, David Bailey, because it could be a coin flip tonight.
You can't count out guys like Lamson, who is really due. He rode good in his semi after having a bad start in the heat race. Jeff Emig has found his form again. He's found his starts, which have been so important this season. Albertine rode great, beating Jeremy in the heat race. Although Jeremy rode great, different outfit, looking a little newer this week. He still couldn't catch up to Albertine and put any pressure on him, so a lot of guys can take it.
Ezra Lusk. He's got a lot of home fans behind him.
He's done well here in the past. He's comfortable on this soil, and he's got a lot of fans behind him, and those Yamahas have been working good lately.
Well, we could probably go down the whole list. One guy who's been hot and riding very steady, Doug Henry. And Doug has had some very fine memories here at this track. For instance, in '93, Henry stood atop the podium with his first 125 Supercross win. Then in '94, he won his first 250 heat race, beating Jeremy McGrath. And in '95, he got off to the best start at that time of his 250 career with a 5th place finish. But he did lead the race for the first time. And in '96, his first race back from back surgery. What will it be? A question mark for Doug Henry This could be his biggest thrill, 1997. Let's go down to Marty Reed downstairs.
Well, guys, we've talked about last week, if you were with us, how 5 millimeters change in the length of Jeremy McGrath's tailpipe can increase your low-end torque. Well, this week, we found out that he has turned the front fork upside down. Now, that is something that he had on his old Honda. It somehow makes the ride more comfortable for him, makes the bike work better for him. Each week, they keep finding something else that they want to change to make the Suzuki run a little bit more familiar for Jeremy McGrath. We'll find out if it pays off.
Well, switching back to those forks is something different. He went over to the Suzuki team, and they had that the right side up, the conventional fork, actually, with that little bat wing just to keep the front end more rigid. But I think Jeremy likes the front end to be a lot stiffer. He runs a lot more sag in the rear end. The bike typically runs a little low in the rear. And by running a stiffer front end, that's what you get with the upside-down forks. A lot more rigid feel. That's what Jeremy wants.
As we take a look at the Suzuki starting grid for this great 250 round. Round number 6 for the 250s. Getting set to go. Who will win the $1,000 now when they hit the 1-900 Pro Race Whole Shot Award line?
I have to think that it's the guys that are lined up to the inside of the starters booth. Jeremy is about 3 or 4 positions to the inside of it. There you see him. These guys are going to control the inside of that first turn. A lot of guys are going to get there at the same time, but you know these guys on the outside are going to get pushed wide.
Jeremy McGrath, he's ready. He told the cameraman to get out of the way. You ever had a cameraman out there when you started, David?
No, but I've had a big old dirt clod out there when they drug the camera cord. I'm like, hey, somebody fix that.
Or did they have television in those days?
Well, I was probably one of the media guys, the print media guys, was doing things like that. Sorry, David.
Woo! There's David Huffman, number 17, number 18, Jimmy Button, Steve Lapson, number 4 on your screen. Larry Ward. We haven't said anything about Larry Ward, but he hangs in there all the time. Ryan Hughes, number 9. They're stretching out the arms. They're shaking the legs. The 30-second board is up. We're just about set for action time here from the Georgia Dome. Lots of nerves going on right now. Mike LaRocco on the end here, number 5. It's sideways. It could drop any time now. They're rubbing up. Late start by LaRocco. Good start, though, by Albertine and Huffman. 17, Damon Huffman, $1,000 richer. It's Huffman, Albertine, Emig in great shape. Lampson is next. And Jeremy McGrath is on the inside, blocking out Lampson.
Looks like we lost Mike Craig down there in the first turn. He went down with Jeff Matasevich, and looked like Ryan Huffman. Craig is a long shot, even longer now.
Whoa, good save right there by Albertine. He tried to tuck it around Damon Huffman. Wasn't a whole lot of room right there. Look at this, Emig.
Would this be something for Damon Huffman? Here you have a team that doesn't have a team manager. Damon Huffman and Jeff Emig, 1 and 2 with Albertine, getting with McGrath for number 3.
Way in the back of the pack, we got the 3 Yamaha.
Oh, going down. It's Jeremy McGrath moving into 3rd now with Albertine hitting the deck. Look at the ruts.
Well, you can see how tough it is, why he would go down right there. Look at his clutch lever. It's bent all the way down. He's trying to fix it, but right now he's losing valuable time. Mike Craig just went by on his left.
Let's take another look.
Watch Albertine right here in 3rd.
Cut the back wheel.
He just caught the back tire of Jeff Emig. In fact, that happened to Jeff Emig in practice to the back end of Doug Henry. That little corkscrew before the finish has proved to be tricky so far tonight.
Out in front, it's Damon Huffman and his teammate Jeff Emig with Jeremy McGrath. 5 bike links back in 3rd. Then it's Larry Ward. Steve Lampson's finest start of the season. And then Ryan Hughes, Mike Kedrowski, and Bradshaw.
What I started to say before we saw Albertine go down is all 3 Yamaha riders got really bad starts. They're coming up as a group. It's Lusk, then Wyndham and Henry. They're outside the top 10. Let's see what kind of teamwork they can put together.
Henry in 13th place. Damon Huffman now trying to move out his lead a little bit more in first place. Boy, the Yamaha riders riding together every day, but they don't want to be riding together here tonight.
Not that far back. And you can see Jeremy looked like he made up a little bit of time on Emig, but then he lost it again. Now Larry Ward starting to close up to the rear tire of Jeremy. So once again,
Lampson hits the rear tire of Ward and loses time. Mike Kedrowski moving up on Lampson.
And also Ryan Hughes makes his move. So all the Kawasaki guys in the top 5 looking strong here tonight. It's been a little bit of a tough season for all of them, but they're getting it together now.
Well, this is Bradshaw's finest start, too. He can make a move, especially if things happen up front.
There you see him coming off that huge plateau jump. Even if they jump it right, you see how hard they land. Jeremy with a huge impact there.
Damon Huffman holding on well. Emig losing it to the ground. Here comes Jeremy now trying to pick up on his old rival, Jeff Emig. McGrath closing in, takes the inside route. Doesn't get clipped, but picks up a lot of space.
Well, he keeps going to the inside in that corner, and it looks like he's going to make a move, but then those guys come from the outside with all that extra momentum. Open the lead back up. This time, Jeremy is still a little closer than he was the last lap.
Jeff Emig going through those whoops beautifully.
Hey, does anyone know if one of the Kawasaki personnel quit this week? Because it seems like every time someone leaves, Emig wins. Now they got Huffman up there, too.
I don't know who he's going to dedicate the race to next. Damon Huffman, though. What a great surprise this is for Huffman, because he had a lousy start. Little nagging injuries. 11th in the first round. He had a promising 4th, and then it turned into a 19th in Phoenix. 11th and an 8th place. Here he is out leading at Atlanta.
Now you can see how far back the Team Yamaha riders are. Still outside the top 10, but their pace is quick. They're not making up any ground. They're just staying the same with everybody. Everyone's riding so hard right now.
Huffman, Emig, McGrath, Ward, and Hughes are top 5.
Damon Huffman he's really been one of those types of guys that says, well, I'm going to just play my cards right, be realistic, shoot for the top 5, and then when I get a couple of those, shoot for the top 3. Well, he hasn't been in the top 3 lately, but he's certainly had the pace to ride it. My concern for him now is his conditioning with the arm pump. He's got the most pressure he could have right now. It's a little better because it's his teammate, but if his arms start to pump up, that's what happened to him last week, and he dropped fast.
Oh, Larry Ward losing valuable time, coming down real hard on the bars that time behind Jeremy McGrath. He's 3rd in the points, the top independent. He has 2 podiums, 2 third places.
You know, we saw Jeremy and Larry Ward get together last week in Indianapolis in a similar battle for 3rd and 4th, but they both went backwards in the field. I hope that doesn't happen here again tonight. And right there we saw Ward. He's losing a little more time to Jeremy. Jeremy's pulled right up on Emig's back tire.
They're spreading out except for 2nd place. Jeremy, only 1 bike link away from. Henry started in 15th, is now moved up to 10th as we take a look at Lamson. And now Emig and Jeremy McGrath.
Every now and then, Jeremy just comes out of nowhere. He was actually quite a ways behind as they entered the whoops. He made up all kinds of time on Emig. Now Emig's lost a little bit of time to the leader, Huffman. You see how hard they land off that finish line jump. Taking a lot out of these guys every lap.
Still a lot more racing to go. Who will win the 2nd round, or I should say the 6th round here at the 250s? We'll be back to find out.
Over 25 years ago, Honda built the first ATV. Now we've built our most powerful, the Foreman 400. Where do we go from here? Just about anywhere we want.
1/900 pro race, up to the minute race results now.
Bar to bars, they go over the triple. And Pingree right on his tail, tries to box him out, does so. Kevin Windham. Whoa!
You call 1/900 pro race.
Bradshaw coming up now to challenge Doug Henry.
Oh, Pingree goes down with James Dobb.
1/900 pro race is absolutely the best.
Oh, what a bar-to-bar battle we've got going.
1/900 pro race.
Welcome back to the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, Georgia. Huffman, his best start of the year, is our leader as we take a look for the battle at 2nd place. Jeff Emig, number 1, Jeremy McGrath, looking for his 4th podium, but also looking for his 1st win of the season.
It may take Jeremy a while to win. I mean, look at what he's riding the best he's ridden in quite a while. Looks great out there. He looked good in his heat race. Still wasn't able to pick up a win. Things this year are a lot tougher than they were last year for McGrath.
A lot of adjusting on that bike. He only got the effort together, his own racing team, with less than a week to build the bike and also get all the contracts signed and everything else. So it's only natural. I'm surprised, really, he's done as well as he has this year with so many podiums. Here he comes with the big race on, trying to get around Jeff Emig. seals him off. Jeff Emig, a good bang-bang performance.
And Jeremy knew that was coming, too. That's how exciting that rhythm section is. The way the track designers built this, they had different timing. Jeremy looked over, knew Emig was coming, I think rather expected it. He did a good job of staying up. Imagine what that feels like, having a 200-pound motorcycle with a guy out of running India.
That's the old Jeremy. I feel like the clock's ticking on Emig right now. And as these two battle for second, Huffman's sneaking away.
This is a sport that you have to make it quick. Jeff Emig turned around telling us he doesn't feel old, but the sands of time are running fast.
My maturity and the way that I look at things is different than like, let's say, 2 or 3 years ago. And I know that, you know, that the end of my career is going to be coming up here in a few years or whatever. I mean, you know, I don't really set any dates, but I know that it's coming, and I have to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish, and there's no better time than now.
That's something else, to be 26 and feel that 2 or 3 more years is all you have left.
You know, further back in the pack, Larry Ward had a problem. He went down or something, lost some space. Now he's Ryan Hughes in 4th, and Lamson, like Huffman, putting in his best race. He's up to 5th now.
He's in 6th place, Larry Ward.
Things are looking really good for Kawasaki at the moment. They got the first 2 spots, and they got 4th. But Lamson's coming hard. Starting to put a lot of pressure on Rhino.
Huffman has been able to stretch it out to 3.5 seconds on the 2nd place rider, Jeff Emig.
Stanton down there in the first corner, just yelling at Lamson, come on! Throwing his headset, trying to get him fired up, whatever it takes.
Hughes in 4th, Lammy in 5th, number 4 on the Team Honda. His best performance of the year. This has got to make Wes McCoy feel like jumping up and down. Ooh, a little bobble right there in the corner. Here comes MK on the Honda of Troy, number 100. Mike Kudrowski. He's looking for his best finish of the year before going to his favorite track, Daytona.
Don't count out LaRocco right behind these 2 guys. LaRocco's a strong finisher last week, fastest guy on the racetrack.
He's 6 seconds behind Jeremy McGrath. McGrath in 3rd.
You know, that little love tap that Jeff Emig gave Jeremy seemed to knock a little bit of the wind out of sails of McGrath. He's dropped off considerably, probably about 4 seconds at this point.
Hard to tell from our vantage point, but Jeff jumped into him pretty good. It could have bent Jeremy's front brake lever or done something like that. It could have slowed him down. He could be just trying to bide his time right now and get a second win and make a charge at the end when lappers are a little bit more of a factor.
Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Brian, over halfway, you just put up a sign saying, have fun. This could be a big turning point for his year, couldn't it?
Oh, yeah. He's out in front. He hasn't been there, and Jeff has been a hard charger.
This could be the first Kawasaki win in the Dome since 95? Well, we're only going back a couple of years then. But the first ever Supercross win for Damon Huffman as we take a look backward. Henry is now in 9th behind Bradshaw. This is another battle. Lamson and Kudrowski. Lamson is moved up in front of MK, but MK is coming back into the action. Number 100. Don't let that fool you. You fans have been away from the United States for a little while. MK retired and came back after a year off.
Challenge them through the whoops. At the pace these guys are riding, it's a great track design, but their pace is so quick. There's only one really fast line. You can try somewhere else, but unless the guy makes a mistake, you can't make the pass. I think Kudrowski right now, the pace he seems to be running, as anxious as he looks, if he can get around Lamson, he may be able to challenge Ryan.
Lamson having trouble. MK cuts underneath. Here comes LaRocco, number 5.
That's what it takes. Got to keep the pressure on. With Kudrowski keeping the pressure on. And Ryan Hughes has gone down the first corner. So that moves Kudrowski into 4th.
And here comes LaRocco putting the block pass on Steve Lamson. LaRocco doing a great job. Huffman and Emig still out in front with McGrath in 3rd. Emig has been able to pull up just a little bit on Huffman out in 1st place. As we take a look back in the pack with number 5, Mike LaRocco trying to get some space now on Steve Lamson. Mike Kudrowski's his next target.
You know, David, we were talking about Ricky Carmichael's first win earlier. Your first win. Is Huffman starting to think about that now? He's out front. He's got about 8 laps to go. Is that in the back of his mind?
I'll bet you there's just about everything in the back of his mind, and that's got to be one of them. The other thing that's in the back of his mind, and right behind him, is that number 3. That's like Earnhardt right now. Emig's been hot. He's won a couple of races. He's got the experience to take this race all the way to the last lap. Remember, Huffman had a chance to win in Seattle, it looked like, with McGrath, and only a few laps remaining. He stalled it.
Yeah, but there's no Rick Hendricks team up there swooping all the air. Anything can happen, even if your teammates in this game when the win is on the line.
I think at this point, Emig's got to know, and believe me, you think a lot of things out there on the racetrack sometimes besides just the racetrack. Emig's doing the math in his head, knows that Henry's pretty far back in the pack. He could pick up the points lead tonight.
Emig cutting the lead to 3 seconds. We take a look at Mike Kiedrowski, hoping to fend off Mike LaRocco. It's interesting. A lot of the guys avoiding those big ruts now, taking the cleaner method, not the faster line.
And the faster line is, of course, the deeper rut. And if you're in front of somebody, like in the case of Kiedrowski right now with LaRocco breathing down his neck, should he take the fast line and go for the deep rut, or...
LaRocco cuts to the inside, sending the MK to the outside. Oh, what a great battle. Mike LaRocco has got the fastest bike on the track right now. Former teammates battling it out.
The next guy in LaRocco's sights is McGrath. And the pace that LaRocco's got, he could catch him.
Yes, very much so.
I'll tell you, Mike LaRocco is the last guy that Jeremy probably wants to see in his rearview mirror right now.
Yeah.
Because LaRocco is the strongest guy in the second half of these races, Doug Henry notwithstanding.
Here comes LaRocco trying to put the move. Here's our leader, Damon Huffman, who has been very cool out in front.
He seems to gain a little bit on Emig in certain places, and then he'll lose a little bit of time, then gain it right back. So he's got enough speed, and he's been playing his cool. Problem is now he's got a few lappers to contend with before he gets to that finish line.
As you see coming into the picture, Huffman, a 2-time 125 Western champion, as he strung together 6 straight wins back in 1995, so he knows what it's like to win. He knows what it's like to get out in front. He just hasn't had this opportunity this year. Last year in Supercross, got the injured ACL. They did not operate, but it took him out of operation for a long time and a lot of hard rehab coming back. The Honda stopwatch in our screen right now to check out the lap time and interval, as there goes a lapper through the picture.
About 3 seconds back to Emig now. So keeping about the same distance. It fluctuates just a little.
Oh, it's good to see Mike Kiedrowski coming back with such flair. There's Bradshaw, number 10. Number 20, Doug Henry, moving up in the pack.
The lap times have been about 53, 54 seconds, so 25 seconds down is half a lap. It's very frustrating for Henry, knowing he's got the speed to lead this race. The start makes all the difference. Ask Huffman.
This would certainly move Huffman up in the ranks, as right now he's chasing behind Phil Lawrence, getting by fairly easily on the finish line jump. But Emig now is starting to move in.
They're turning at 53.5 there. Huffman, as you can see, the track's breaking down a little bit. What we talked about earlier, thrown out the window. The track's starting to get some ruts in it. It's starting to get rough. That might be Emig's best chance at this point, but boy, Huffman looks smooth.
Henry in 8th place is the points leader, but Emig is just a few points behind him, 17 points. He could certainly scrunch up things.
Well, it'll change that completely. 17-point lead is not that far away from entire race, scoring 25 for the win. That's going to close up, change things dramatically heading into Daytona.
Doug Henry holding on to his cool after a slow start, moving up the ranks.
You know, and if McGrath holds on to 3rd place, it's going to give him a chance to unlap himself in the points. Just 25 down coming in. It's going to help him considerably as well.
Absolutely. But Mike LaRocco is only 2.5 seconds behind him. Oh, we're going to have a great finish here in Atlanta. Something unusual usually always happens here in Atlanta, guys. It used to be the track conditions. Outside in Fulton County Stadium, you had rain, you had snow, you had sleet. Inside here in the Dome, lots of ruts in the past.
Not giving Huffman any problems, like Davey said. He looks so smooth. It almost looks like he's not, as he passes Ryan Hughes and Greg Albertine, guys that are trying their hardest to work their way up from behind. It looks like Huffman's going slower, but he's just riding so smooth, not using hardly any energy. He's not one of the most buff guys you'll find out there on the racetrack, but He knows how to get the job done. His arms and legs are strong enough to support that body.
Okay, taking a look at Huffman. This is the white flag coming out for him as we see Mike LaRocco behind him. It is Huffman, Emig, McGrath battling LaRocco. This is the final lap.
Huffman's got a pretty good lead still. He can afford a mistake here and there and still hang on to this, and he's got no lapped riders in front of him. But for Jeremy McGrath, he's got LaRocco breathing down his neck. LaRocco jumping all the way over that camel jump, makes a little time. Look how close they are now.
It's interesting to see Jeremy McGrath having to ride conservative, having to ride for points, not victories.
It's been that kind of year, Art.
That may pay off in the end, but not quite as glamorous as winning 14 races.
Absolutely. Well, right now, this guy, his heart has got to be jumping out of his body. Damon Huffman. The checker's flag for Damon Huffman. His first Supercross win ever. In the 250 ranks, Jeremy McGrath holding off Mike LaRocco. Valuable points for Jeremy in third. Damon Huffman, yes, he's saying to himself, I knew I could do it all along. His first 250 Supercross win. Our hats off to this young man, Damon Huffman. Not only his first ever Supercross victory in the 250 ranks, but it's also Kawasaki's third Supercross victory of the season. Brian Lennis getting handshakes of congratulations. And there's number 17 as he waves to his fans. Huffman, Emig, McGrath, LaRocco, Kudrowski, Lammy took a 6th, Bradshaw 7th, Henry. As we go down the list of finishers for our 250 main event here in Atlanta. We'll be back with words from Damon Huffman and Marty Reed in a moment.
Now the bike you want equals big time bucks, correct? Incorrect. Do the math. During Suzuki Fest 97, get up to $500 in Suzuki accessories free with a selected Suzuki. Like the awesome GSX R1100. You also get free accessories with the Katana 600 and 750 and the RF 900R. And choose from financing options like 0 down and 9.9% APR on selected models. But hurry, Suzuki Fest won't last. So you plus Suzuki equals... Oh, come on, add it up.
Get ready for the thrill of your life. AMA Supercross Live. A Saturday night you'll never forget. AMA Supercross Live. The guts and the glory of the best riders in the world. AMA Supercross Live. Feel the rush of the most extreme sport on the planet. Live. AMA Supercross. The 1997 flight to the finish. Live it live.
Great timing, guys. Played for 13 years and I retire, and now you're coming out with this sports news channel? All these scores and highlights are really going to help my career. Look at me now. Gardening. Morons. You guys want to kick my dog while you're here?
AMA Supercross on ESPN2 has been brought to you by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. And by Honda, the Red Riders, winners of the last 9 straight 250 Supercross championships. Back to the Georgia Dome as we see number 17, Damon Huffman. You knew sooner or later this great young talent would win his first 250 Supercross. It just came a little later than he would have hoped, but it just makes this moment for number 17 even a more heartwarming experience. A record crowd here at the Georgia Dome to see Damon Huffman beat his teammate Jeff Emig. Emig, though, moving up in points, doing a great job. Jeremy McGrath hanging into the points battle there with another fine podium performance. And speaking of podium, as we looked at those 6 through 10 finishers, let's go down to Marty Reed with a very happy, I'm sure, Damon Huffman.
No one knows at home how much and how hard the road has been for this man since last year's injury. Congratulations. Here's the extra grand for making the whole shot work. And congratulations on a great run.
Unbelievable. You know, I lined up a little farther outside than I wanted to, but it was such a long start. I knew if I just kept on shifting, my bike would pull me out in front. And my Kawasaki ran awesome. Brian Lundis did an excellent job on the bike, and you know, it's been just real hard for me all year, and finally this week I really trained hard, and it's the best I felt all year long, and I'm just real happy.
Congratulations. That's the first place finish. Now the second place for Kawasaki, and some valuable points, because I got an 8th place by unofficial count for Doug Henry, so you picked up some big points.
Yeah, well, that's all fine and dandy, but man, I really wanted to win that race. I didn't want to let the young guy take it, but man, Damon rode a great ride. I mean, I was really working to you know, to try to pick up the time on him, and I'd catch it, and then he'd gain it back. You know, he'd take it right back. So I'd like to give him a congratulations, you know, as my teammate and all. He rode an awesome race.
The guys were kidding upstairs. They said, well, somebody must have quit because another Kawasaki's going to win.
Yeah, the son of a gun. He took my my $1,000 hole shot point fund I'm used to. Man, he's just trying to take all the dough out of my pocket.
What a team. You know, and they said, oh, the Kawasaki team might be in chaos with no team leader, but these guys individually with their mechanics are doing the job.
They're riding fantastically, especially Jeff Emig. I know that he didn't get the win tonight, but I think when he sits down and thinks about how important all those points are that he gained, he's going to be very happy with that finish.
Yeah, as we take a look at the Suzuki point standings, Henry still barely holding on to the lead, with Emig moving up big time. Ward took the big drop. Jeremy McGrath is still pushing those top leaders in the point situation. Larocco helping his situation out. Let's go back to Marty.
Yeah, we've caught up with Jeremy McGrath down here. The guys made mention up top. After the contact, you made an all-out effort to get by Emig. From that point on, it seemed like the gap widened. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I made a good pass on Jeff. I went around him, fair and square. I think he had a little bit too much momentum when we went in that corner and rammed into me. And I don't know, you know, it wasn't too bad. It was just smashed my pipe.
So you lost a little horsepower, you think?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay, so that's it from Jeremy McGrath. We'll see you again, round 7. Maybe he'll crack the win streak then.
Guys, you could tell with the look on his face, he really thought he could do it here tonight. Not only before the race, but also on the track. He was in good position when that bent pipe took some horsepower away from him. What a great one. We just don't know what to expect now for Daytona, because we don't know what to expect with any of the rounds that we've seen so far through 6 rounds of this great Supercross series. Art Ekman for David Bailey, Davey Coombs, and Marty Reed saying thank you so much for being with us from the Georgia Dome. Join us from Daytona.
$39.95 and by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Bob Varsha. Welcome to the first of 2 jam-packed editions of Moto World devoted to the annual 2-wheeled rite of spring, Bike Week at Daytona. The key action began on Sunday, and we'll begin our coverage to the southwest of the World Center of Racing at the opening round of the AMA National Motocross season, where a duel between 250 champions went to the reigning titleist, but not without a fight. The voice of motocross on ESPN2, Art Ekman, has that story.
It was a familiar theme of last year's finale once the first moto started. Defending champion Jeff Emig the lead. Jeremy McGrath with the number 2 plate this time in pursuit. Henry was right there in 3rd. Ward 4th. Heat winner Lusk in 5th. Number 64 Guy Cooper trying a 4-stroke Husenberg altered the course a bit. One of the best battles of the day took place with number 6 Larry Ward and Henry. Just watch this battle for 3rd. Incredible. Ward would later finish in 6th, Henry dropping to 11th. Number 5, Team Suzuki's Mike Larocco was on a relentless charge, passing Henry into 4th. And while trying to get by Ward, almost goes down. Larocco would finally get by Ward and finish in 3rd. John Dowd, number 14, another Yamaha Heat winner, cuts to the inside on Ward to nail down 4th. McGrath ran a steady race all the way, giving notice he wants the 250 outdoor title back. But the defending champ obviously is going to make him work for it. The checkers for Kawasaki's Jeff Emig.
Today, you know, it was a little bit dusty, a lot of holes, really tough, you know, really tough on your hands and your upper body. This first race is at Gainesville, because it's just so hard, and there's just gnarly holes everywhere.
Second moto, Emig again, the whole shot in the lead. This time, Damon Bradshaw, number 10, led number 11 Ezra Lusk and the pack of pursuers. The tough Combs uphill proved the undoing for Lusk. Oh, look out! Ward just able to get by the downed rider, but he went down himself on the very next lap. Henry's Gatorback four-stroke premier was looking competitive. He would finish in 6th. Greg Albertine, number 8, having his problems trying to catch him. Meanwhile, here came Jeremy. This was the old McGrath for sure. Number 2 looks back at his teammate flying through the air. McGrath didn't stop there. His next target, Bradshaw. McGrath in 2nd and charging fast. Albertine would get by Henry and Bradshaw only to crash. His teammate Mike LaRocco, a forced retirement, a shock problem, sends him through the infield and up the tunnel back to the pits. Jeff Emig, the leader, was feeling the heat. The fans were going crazy. McGrath, anxious to catch Emig, leaps over a lapper. Emig refused to crack, though, and then the slick, hard Gatorback surface let go. And with it, Jeremy's hopes were shattered. Quickly up and moving again for a 2-2 on the afternoon.
You know, we got a good team, and I'm finally getting a handle on it, and I'd like to thank all of them for being patient with me. And, you know, I keep saying it every week. It's coming. It's coming.
Up front, number 1 sweeps Gatorback. Emig, McGrath, Bradshaw, Dowd, and Button the top 5. The overall bob in the first round looks like this. Emig 6 points up on McGrath. John Dowd and Bradshaw tied for 3rd, and Ward edging Button for 5th.
Thanks, Art. 125 action coming up later in the show. Right now, let's go back to Daytona, where the CCS Sprint action tops this week's Honda scoreboard. In middleweight sport bike, one of more than 24 separate classes on the high banks Thursday and Friday, Eric Wood and fellow Kawasaki rider Chris Clubb finished ahead of a trio of Suzukis led by Yoshimura stars Aaron Yates and Pascal Picat. Wood also triumphed in the middleweight superbike expert class. Picat came back to win heavyweight superbike over Larry Pegram and Ken Krebs. Krebs finished on no fewer than 6 expert class podiums with 4 wins of his own. Will Davis may just be the best all-around flat track rider in creation. Last Sunday, the AMA Grand National Dirt Track title contender and defending Motorcycle Asphalt Racing Series champion won the 750 expert main at Volusia County Speedway on a Harley, beating Steve Moorhead and Mike Hacker. Davis then climbed aboard his ATK to win the 600 expert main over Brett Landis and Lonnie Pauly, but that was just in the afternoon. That night on the Volusia Dirt, Davis laid a last lap pass on both Joe Kopp and Rich King to win the 750 main and pull within 5 points of Mike Hacker for the lead in the Florida Flat Track Racing Series with 4 of 9 rounds complete. Now, coming up later on this edition of Moto World, we'll hear from Mr. Daytona, Scott Russell, on his quest for a 4th Daytona 200 victory. We'll also have the 125 action from Gainesville, where a triumphant trend is developing. But up next, double trouble for the NASB Formula USA field on the high banks. Stand by, Moto World. We'll be right back.
A fuel-injected 90-degree V-twin. An exotic all-aluminum truss frame. And a rear suspension so advanced, it's patented. Introducing the Suzuki TL1000S. A sport bike with such forward thinking, the rest of the world seems backwards.
When you want it now, when you need it now, you can get it now. Instant horsepower from K&N, the leader in high-performance air filters. Get bolt-on performance that gives you instant horsepower gains. And you'll never need to buy another filter with washable, reusable K&Ns. Get K&N Performance Air Filters this instant by calling 1-800-377-6017 for our product brochure.
Out of the shadows come 3 incredible motorcycles. Each one takes the look of a custom to a beautiful new place. The new Honda Shadow Spirit 1100, the new Shadow Ace Tourer, and the Shadow American Classic Edition. It's always cooler in the shadows.
Now is the time to train for the career you've always wanted. Just ask Motorcycle Mechanics Institute graduate Al Ludington, now lead mechanic for Honda's championship-winning Smokin' Joe's Superbike team.
MMI gave me the knowledge and training to take me to the top of my profession. It's a great place to start, and I recommend it to anybody looking to kick off a career in motorcycle mechanics or the personal watercraft industry.
Change your life with one phone call, 1-800-994-3664. That's 1-800-994-3664. Call today.
Welcome back to the show. The first big road race at Daytona International Speedway this past weekend was also the first of the season for the Formula USA headliners on the North American Sport Bike Series. Last year, Doug Chandler gave notice of his National Superbike Championship potential by sweeping the twin race format. Can you say deja vu? Once again, here's Art Ekman.
Sunday's marquee events were the opening rounds of the Formula USA Championship. A full field of FUSA regulars and AMA interlopers descended on the 3.56-mile course, with number 11, Doug Chandler, dominating the proceedings. The reigning AMA Superbike champ was riding Rob Muzzey's new Raptor, a customer bike designed for FUSA competition. It utilizes 850 cc's of awesome power. Chandler took both legs and no doubt boosted sales interest. In case you're interested, the base model goes for $25 grand. 35 nicely appointed.
But I think when I really feel that I've done what I wanted to do is when I see a customer win with it.
The other big story in FUSA revolved around Dutchman Racing's Fritz Kling, number 2. The Michigan rider was recovering from an off-season operation to remove a malignant brain tumor. Despite a weakened condition, Kling displayed the skill that has earned him more FUSA wins than anyone in history. Kling finished 4th in race 1 and 3rd in race 2 after a dramatic charge through the pack, making up for an early off-road excursion.
You know, I just kept pushing. I wasn't, I just put the tires aside. I wasn't worried about them. I knew they'd make it. And, just kept pushing. It was great.
Great effort, Fritz. It's great to see you.
Oh, it's great to be here.
The North American Sport Bike competition surrounded the Formula USA races, the most exciting of which was highlighted by a tremendous dicing for the lead with the EBC Sport Bikes. 75 motorcycles took the green flag in this one, and the freight train of machines in the lead group at times numbered as high as 10 bikes. This class, which is based on a horsepower weight formula, was responsible for one of the most exciting and hotly contested races witnessed at the Speedway in years. In the end, it was veteran privateer Eric Wood, number 7, holding off a determined New Zealander, Andrew Stroud. Other winners on the day included Masahiro Izuka in the 125 Grand Prix competition. You'll remember last year, while leading, he was involved in this horrific high side in the International Horseshoe. This year, he kept it up on 2 wheels to the checkers. And finally, Texan Eric Bostrom was tops in the Harley Twins action with a dominating performance. Reporting from the birthplace of speed, Art Ekman for Moto World.
Thanks, Art. Here are the results. Doug Chandler over Chris Carr, former series champ Dave Sadowski, the overheating Fritz Kling, and Trey Beatty in race 1. Second verse, same as the first, pretty much. Chandler over Carr. Kling and Sadowski trade places. Beatty dropped out with 2 laps to go with tire problems. Andy Detheridge picks up the slack. Now, the AMA's most prestigious off-road series made its seasonal debut last weekend in Ocala, Florida, where Ty Davis tried to keep his string of opening round wins in '97 alive against the toughest competition to date. Here's Steve Johnson with the story.
Each year during Bike Week, one of the premier off-road events takes place. The GNCC Series opener in Ocala is always hailed as a grueling 3-hour battle. Off the gun, it would be Ty Davis with Steve Hatch in hot pursuit. Scott Summers, mired back in 20th, crashed 5 times on lap 1, working his way through the field. 4-time Enduro champion Paul Edmondson succumbed to both the heat and a banged-up shoulder suffered during a crash. Zip Tie was strong early but fell off the pace.
You know, it was just tremendously hot today and a lot of humidity, and something that I'm not used to. You know, being sick last week didn't help. I rested. I did the best I could. I tried to drink as much water, and you know, this track, and you're racing with the best today, and I gave it my all, and that's all I had.
The 85-degree heat of Ocala, Florida not only claimed riders as victims, but machines as well. As the bikes and riders dropped by the wayside, in the end, Steve Hatch was the marathon man of the GNCC Series opener, a true endurance race.
You know, it's a whole line full of pros that are very tough, and today I tried to not realize that all those guys were out there and just ride my own race and relax.
For Moto World, I'm Steve Johnson.
All right, thank you, Steve. Drum roll, please. It's time to name our first Moto World Motorcycle Mechanics Institute Scholarship winner for 1997. A $7,000 start on a new career hereby goes out to Matthew Lee of Bloomington, Illinois. In answer to the question, why I'd like to become a motorcycle technician, Matthew's winning entry reads, I've always dreamed of racing motorcycles and of becoming a motorcycle mechanic. As I will never be able to race, I hope to make my dream a reality by attending MMI and becoming a motorcycle mechanic, thereby helping others make their dreams come true. Good luck with that dream, Matthew. We'll begin the search for our next winner on next week's show. In a moment, Moto World will return with Mr. Daytona, Scott Russell, to talk about World Superbike, his new Yamaha Daytona, and more, so stay with us.
Moto World is being brought to you in part by the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, the only major manufacturer-endorsed motorcycle training institution.
Are you ready for more action, more danger, more impact? Well, your wait is over. The hottest, most intense, extreme Crash Impact ever. Crash Impact 2. 70 minutes of explosive, heart-stopping crash action. You have to see to believe. All new crashes from Superbikes, Harley Series, drag racing, stock cars, sprint cars, Supercross, Indy cars, flat track, and more. All jam-packed on 2 tapes for only $19.95. Order now and get absolutely free the new Extreme Sports Virtual Reality, featuring insane extreme sports from around the world like you've never seen before. You'll get the all-new Crash Impact 2, plus the Extreme Sports Video free. 3 tapes that'll blow you away. Guaranteed or your money back.
To order, call 1-800-310-6116. That's 1-800-310-6116. Or send $19.95 plus $5.95 shipping and handling to the address on your screen.
NHL tonight at 11:30, only on ESPN2.
Team Suzuki presents the Moto World Suzuki Event Calendar. A look at some of the major events coming up in the world of motorcycles and ATVs.
Bike Week continues this weekend with Round 7 of the AMA Supercross campaign. The long, sandy infield course at Daytona International Speedway is one of a kind, so check it out Saturday. Also featured on the climactic final weekend at Daytona, the AMA Grand National Dirt Track season opener. 7-time national champ Scott Parker is still looking for his first win in the big race. We'll see if he has better luck than that other big Daytona oafer, Dale Earnhardt. Finally, we come to the crowning event of the week, the greatest motorcycle race in the world, the Daytona 200. Can Scott Russell win his historic 4th? You can find out by being there, or the next best thing, tune into Moto World this week and every week. Welcome back to Moto World, celebrating Bike Week 97, and joining me now, the man whose name is synonymous with the Daytona 200, 3-time 200 winner, Scott Russell. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bob.
I think the first question anybody wants to ask you is, can you go out and win your 4th Daytona 200 this year?
I think so. You know, I've done all the homework I think it's going to take to do it. The Yamaha bike seems to be working good in the preseason testing. Dunlop seems to think they got a good tire for this season, so I don't see why we can't. You know, we've done it 3 times now. I know what it takes, and we're just going to go down there and give it our best shot.
World Superbike. You've won that title before, but you haven't been in the series for a couple of years. Do you anticipate it's changed much since you last rode there?
It's definitely got a lot more competitive, I think. The equipment, riders, times are faster now. The tires have gotten better. Things have changed. Guys are going a lot quicker than they did when I rode, and you know, we have the Yamahas up to the task. The Yamaha's being the oldest bike on the track. We've got some work to do, but we've got the team, and I think I can get it done. I think Colin's going to get it done. We're going to have a good year this year.
You'll be teamed with Colin Edwards. What are your first impressions of your new teammate?
I like him. I think he's great. We hit it off really good in preseason testing, and I think we're working in the same direction as far as the motorcycle goes. I'll learn a little bit from him. Maybe he learns a little bit from me. I mean, he's been there on the Yamaha for a while, so he is the guy I have to kind of watch for a while and pick a direction to go with the bike. And good guy, you know, good rider. I think he's just now coming into his own. He's been around for a long time, and longer than people think, and he's young, so he's going to be strong.
You've been doing this for a long time. You're, what, 32 years of age now. What do you think about your tenure in the sport?
Yeah, I don't feel like an old guy, though, you know. I've been doing it 10 years, but it doesn't. It flies by like that, and I just have not a hard time, but it's just strange for me to think that I'm 32 and I probably don't want to do this but 3 or 4 more years, you know, realistically. And, you know, I don't like the thought of stopping racing, so I'm not going to until I can't win anymore, so I don't see that happening for a while.
Let's talk specifically now about the 200. What is it about Daytona International Speedway and this race distance that seems to work so well for you?
I really don't know. I don't have an answer for that. You know, it's just one of those things. It's just a natural thing. I go down there, and we've had a lot of good luck with the Kawasaki. We nearly won the race last year on a Suzuki with the first race for that bike. So in the last 5 years, I've been first or second. So it's been a good record, and I don't want to jinx myself. I just want to go down there and then hopefully win another one for Yamaha and win my 4th. It's not going to be easy, though.
Anybody out there particularly you're looking at for trouble?
Well, I think Chandler's going to be real strong, and Duhamel, of course, and Colin, my teammate. I think out of all the whole package, those are the 3 guys that I think of most when I think about the race. But I don't think about them. You know, I'm worried about what I do, and if I do that, well, I'll be okay.
Well, it's Scott Russell, headed for his 4th at Daytona. We want to thank you for being on the show here today, and good luck. Go get that 4th.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more Moto World in just a moment, so stay with us.
Moto World.
Brought to you in part by Honda Passport, the official 4-wheel drive vehicle of Moto World.
Introducing the all-new Suzuki GSX R600. It's so quick, so intense, so dominating. Just to be fair, you might want to give the competition a bit of a head start.
Now, the bike you want equals big-time bucks, correct? Incorrect. Do the math. During Suzuki Fest 97, get up to $500 in Suzuki accessories free with a selected Suzuki, like the awesome GSX R1100. You also get free accessories with the Katana 600 and 750 and the RF 900R. And choose from financing options like 0 down and 9.9% APR on selected models. But hurry, Suzuki Fest won't last. So you plus Suzuki equals, well, come on, add it up.
Baby, 'cause we're going out tonight. Put on your high sneakers, baby, 'cause we're going out tonight. You better wear some boxing gloves, or some fool might start a fight. Go, 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 go.
Standing on the podium following his first pro win in the recent Atlanta Supercross, Florida-bred Ricky Carmichael had to be licking his chops at the thought of welcoming his 125 National Motocross colleagues to his home track in Gainesville, Florida last weekend. As Art Ekman explains, Ricky was not a generous host.
Kevin Windham doing a little gardening with a sore ankle. He tweaked in practice, but it wasn't the ankle that hampered him here in Moto 1. 4 riders in on the starting gate. Watch number 15, Honda of Troy's Michael Craig. He gets the whole shot, but Yamaha's Kevin Windham, number 7, quickly took over the lead. Arm pump set in early on this wicked track, and Craig came fighting back. While Craig and Windham thrilled the fans out front, defending champion Steve Lapson started charging from around 10. Here he chases number 22, Suzuki's Tim Ferry. Note that behind him is number 70, Ricky Carmichael. Number 24 in the Primal Honda, Robbie Raynard, the next to take advantage of Windham's condition. Gatorback was the site of Raynard's 3rd AMA national victory. Lamson, trying to make up for a miserable start on the Supercross season, felt more at home in the 125 outdoors. He would pass Windham and then zip by Raynard. Number 70, Carmichael, came right with him. It was only a few weeks ago Carmichael was whipping up on amateurs right here on this track. The leader, Craig, goes down hard. Lammy, RC, and Raynard power by him. Lamson, a great ride through a maze of riders to take the checkers. Lamson, Carmichael, Raynard, Craig, and Windham, the top 5. That crash broke a bone in Craig's hand. Sarah Stanton taped it up good enough to ride, and mechanic Dean Baker tried to increase forearm circulation. But the feeling of needles poking his wrist didn't seem to disrupt his focus. From the inside, the whole shot again. Carmichael and Wyndham were right there and able to get by Craig. Carmichael saying goodbye to the field. Floridian Tim Ferry was having a horrible home track day, failing to score any points in the season's opener. Number 29, young Scott Sheak, then capped off a battle of Team Hondas, passing his teammate Lapson for fourth. Lammy would finish in fifth. Wyndham would nail down third overall with an unencumbered second place to go with his fifth in the opening moto. Craig this year has not only shown us he's in top physical shape, but he turned into Mr. Tough Guy, a remarkable third-place finish with the broken hand. Carmichael wins his first motocross race as a pro. Matched with his 125E Supercross win last week in Atlanta, a new star is born.
After the first moto, I kind of built my confidence up a little bit, and I felt good. And I didn't get too tired, just my arms got a little bit tired that moto, but I'm pumped right now to win in front of my hometown.
Carmichael takes a 6-point lead on Lapson, a 9-point advantage on Wyndham and Craig. Raynard rounding out the top 5. The riders now returning to a Supercross sort of track next week here at Daytona. Art Ekman reporting for Moto World.
Thanks, Art. Now, sharp-eyed viewers will note the absence of Damon Huffman from the results in Gainesville. The Atlanta 250 Supercross winner broke his leg the Monday after his triumph and will be on the sidelines for a while. A big part of every Bike Week celebration is the vintage racing schedule, in which the superstars of the past, both human and mechanical, roll once again to delight the senses and rekindle the memories. Sadly, this year, the vintage schedule was touched by tragedy. At a press conference on Monday, the BMW legends were introduced for what was announced would be the final year of a Cycle Week tradition. In the crowd, Roger Riemann, winner of the original Daytona 200 in 1961, eager to bypass the formalities and get on with the racing. Wearing his now famous number 55, the Kewanee, Illinois native took to the track that has become synonymous with his career, joined by the best of the best over the years. Number 9, Gary Nixon, won the opening round of the BMW Legends. But 24 hours later, he and his colleagues reflected on the passing of a rival and a friend.
And like I say, we were big competitors over the years, and since this Legend started, you're more friends then. Before he was the Harley guys and I was the Triumph guys, and so he was Mr. Daytona. He's right here enjoying something he does, and you know this happens, and we're all sad.
I traveled to California with him 2 or 3 times, and he was a good guy to travel with. Him and I never drank or run around or acted wild, and we got along real good. His dad, Hank, went with us a couple times. Just a real nice guy.
On Tuesday morning, an accident during practice for round 2 of the BMW Battle of the Legends claimed the life of 3-time Daytona 200 winner Roger Riemann. The accident also left racer Mark Brailsford with a broken thumb and Don Emdy a fractured leg. The 58-year-old Riemann was pronounced dead at Halifax Medical Center. No cause of death was given.
Trax 300 4x4, the Foreman 400, and the Honda Recon, a 250 that's all new from the ground up. You could go to the ends of the earth and never find better ATVs. We know. We've been there.
Walk in with no down payment. Ride off with a new Honda Shadow or Magna. Walk in, get low financing. Ride off with a Honda Goldwing or Valkyrie. Walk in at the right time. Ride off with a CBR 600 F3 and a custom watch while supplies last. Until May 31st, get low financing, no down payment, and a custom watch with selected models at your Honda dealer. The Honda Ride Off. Walk in, ride off.
The Corel WTA Tour brings the top women players in the world together in the desert at Indian Wells, the State Farm Everett Cup. Coverage begins Tuesday night at 12:30 on ESPN2.
Finally today here on Moto World, the one event every road racer worthy of the name wants to win, the Daytona 200. It'll be coming your way live here on ESPN2 this Sunday. You've heard Scott Russell say he thinks he can win an unprecedented 4th victory in the great race. In our preview of the event, renowned motorcycle racing commentator Chris Carter explains why he agrees with Russell.
Scott Russell could ride a moped and still be in with a chance of winning the Daytona 200. This is high praise for the 32-year-old racer from Georgia, rather than an insult for the rest of the competitors in America's biggest road race. Russell is chasing a record-breaking 4th win in this Florida Classic next Sunday, but the truth is it could easily be a 6th victory he's aiming for. Scott won in 92, 94 and 95. All those were on Kawasaki's. He missed out in 93 when Eddie Lawson blasted his Vance and Hines Yamaha past in the closing stages. Last year, in a rain-delayed event, Miguel Duhamel beat Scott over the line by a fraction of a second to score his 2nd Daytona 200 success. But Russell could, and in his mind should, have reversed those 2 defeats. But ifs and buts have no place in motorcycle racing. He's too tall, really, but somehow that long, lanky frame with knees sticking out both sides of the machine like some high-speed stick insect floats around this track as smoothly, effortlessly and more effectively than anyone else. It's not always been plain sailing. I remember too when he started from the back of the second wave in 68th spot on the grid and won. I remember when he crashed at the West Horseshoe on the first lap, picked himself up, dusted himself down and went on to win again. Russell missed out last year on a Suzuki. He's back this year with yet another new bike, a Yamaha. It's better than a moped, so who can stop him getting that elusive, record-breaking 4th win? Well, Miguel Duhamel, Tom Kipp, Doug Chandler, Pascal Picot, Matt Mladin and Colin Edwards are a few names that spring to mind. Reporting for Motor World, Chris Carter.
And that's it for this edition of Moto World. Next week, Art Ekman will host our wrap-up from Daytona, including the Supercross, GNCC, and of course, the big daddy on the high banks, the Daytona 200. Watch for Moto World Daytona edition number 2 on Thursday, March 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm Bob Varsha. For all of us here at Moto World, we'll see you next week.
Moto World has been brought to you by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. Discover today's motorcycling. For the straight facts on motorcycling, call 1-800-833-3995. And by Honda Motorcycles, the leader in on- and off-road fun. Honda, come ride with us.